Friday work. Oh, by the way, you're hearing Brendan's mic right now on Facebook, which I think is probably going to be fine for my voice, just because I yell. I yell everything I say. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Are you able to read that okay? I see that Dean Vincent has joined. So you read off any comments that come from there, and I'll watch the YouTube comments. Hey guys, I don't know how much I'll be actually able to see this YouTube comment live feed, but I will try. So let's go ahead and open up the podcast and introduce what's happening. The music is playing. Oh yeah, hit the record. Celebrate good times, come on. All right, the beginning of the songs. It's episode 49, and for those of you watching live, you're thinking, 49? I just watched episode 46. How are you possibly at 49? Well, it's because we have a recording of the workshop for episode 46. We have a recording of Brendan and I talking to Joshua Snow for episode 47. Episode 48 came 2 nights ago, or was it just last night? No, it was two nights ago, where we went out for the moonrise and we captured a scene there. I'm looking at 2 cameras. If you're on YouTube, you know that we're actually over on Facebook as well. And if you're on Facebook, we're on YouTube as well. We're just using 2 phones. So hopefully everything will work well. I saw a comment come by, but I missed it. Why can't it hold up there longer, YouTube? Would have been great. I missed my intern. Peyton, move back. Of course, he's probably at school right now. So we have another podcast that's coming out from Brendan and I talking about the moonrise, and that was episode 48. And this is episode 49. And it's just the reality of life. And that's the thing I've learned in this last year. I mean, we are celebrating today our year mark. We have been around for a year. And what I've learned in a year is that you just can't have a full-time job and do this. It just doesn't work all that well.
Not properly, at least.
No.
Can't do this properly.
So it has been a challenge, even with having found the time, going to 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, recording content, we're still unable to deliver that content just because it takes hours and hours of edits. And we have a great interview with Joshua Snow talking about stacking Milky Way photography. We have a great hangout when we went up to the moonrise. We talked about our Crater Lake trip, and I finally learned what my nickname was. I won't spoil it for everyone else, but yeah, I never would have guessed that because I didn't know his first name, but I knew his last name. I knew his last name, obviously. So hopefully we can actually make do with seeing your guys' comments and seeing any questions, but we're just going to celebrate and record a podcast live from Brendan's house for our 1-year mark. So when we were in a couple podcasts ago, you started going into a story that I think would be perfect, because right now I'm going to be pulling up stats and information that we have about our YouTube channel and our podcast, just to kind of reminisce and think about how awesome and interesting it has been to go from complete zero social presence, to you guys not knowing who the heck Aaron King and Brendan Porter are, to an actual group of people who will be willing to join during a Friday morning. And so this is quite surprising that you guys are here, and flattering and humbling, and it's awesome. So you were talking about a story about how in the beginning you weren't sure if you were up for a podcast. Isn't that what the story was?
Well, and you know, I have friends that do professional voiceover work, and I know that my voice is nothing special or good. I don't even like it.
It's special to me.
I hear my voice back, and I don't like it. I need to get like my nasal cavities like scraped out or something.
Wow,
I seem nasally.
Is that what happens? They just go in and scrape it out?
I don't know.
Use one of those like wine corkers.
I'm always like congested and stuff. I've got bad allergies all the time, and so I feel like I'm always speaking with a nasally voice. So I wanted to do a podcast for a long time, and I've got a friend that's a voice coach, and I was thinking, maybe I should take some lessons from him, and I could do some podcasts with my other friend who was interested in doing it, or maybe doing something on my own, and so I've been thinking about that for probably, literally close to 10 years. Really. So from when podcasting first came out, my friend had a friend who was doing it, and they went into my closet up in my room up here and actually did a podcast episode.
Really?
In that closet. Yeah, upstairs.
In the closet.
In my girl's bedroom. That's now my daughter's bedroom.
How big of a closet are we talking? You guys standing shoulder to shoulder?
They just had clothes in there that was going to sound dampen. We got a couple mics that just sat there and, created a podcast. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. Like, who's actually going to listen to this?
Right.
And I thought, that's back when a lot of people were thinking podcasts weren't going to last very long.
They're a fad.
Yeah.
Who wants to go to their computer to listen to a podcast?
Right. Well, and
Until the computer came with us.
You know, iPods were out there, and that's when podcasts started, really becoming.
It was iPhone that changed everything, though. The smartphone, carrying that computer on you. That
wasn't until a few years later, but still, people would download podcasts on iTunes and bring it on their iPods, and that's when the whole thing started. So I've been thinking about it since then.
Hey, Chuck, he's saying we look like we're in a hotel room. That's a really nice compliment for Brendan's basement, because this is Brendan's house, guys.
Yeah, you see that's a custom Apple clock that I made there.
That's the back of an... Is it an iBook G3 or G4?
No, that's from an iMac G4.
iMac G4.
The back LCD screen.
Oh, those old ones that had the trim that was a plexiglass trim that you could hold on to? Yeah, it's still there.
The chrome metal. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can move it.
At university, I had one of those. We had a whole lab full of those, and they were the most amazing thing. I would go in there just to go to the internet because I thought I was just in the presence of greatness using those computers.
Yeah, they were fantastic. They were great little machines.
And Chuck, I guess you're asking that and not saying that the audio is not working, so that's a fantastic treat for our 1 year mark.
So we are recording this. Well, we were recording it.
How did it go card full already?
I have no idea. Now
it said 4 hours.
Now it says our card is full.
But it had 4 hours.
Maybe it was 4 minutes and 49 seconds because that's where it stopped.
Maybe because I was on your Apple and I deleted, but I didn't empty the trash. So I'm going to tell a story while Brendan goes and empties the trash so that we can turn this podcast back on. We apparently recorded 4 minutes and 49 seconds of that, but it's not a Photog adventure unless something goes wrong. It's just how things are.
At least it isn't too bad of a hiccup. At least we can...
Oh yeah, unhook your lapel mic before you walk too far with it. So I'm on the Facebook feed, and let me see the lapel mic closer to me because I think they'll have a harder time hearing. So hey Facebook, this is going to be different audio for a moment, and hey YouTube. So the story I want to tell you is that I got laid off from my job back in 2016 in the very first month. I went into work after the Christmas break, and they broke the news to me on a Friday that you're not coming back. In fact, it was that Friday morning, which I kind of appreciated. If you're going to lay someone off, at least don't make them work that whole day. Just let them finish right away. And so I sat there thinking, thank you. And I told them, look, I would have laid myself off too. I was really expensive to be working there. I was not getting what I wanted out of that company, and I wanted to do more and be more creative. So I left that layoff kicking my heels like a leprechaun, all excited, leaping into the air, because I knew this is pretty sweet. Now what can I do? And that's when I purchased a DSLR. I got laid off, no severance. We pretty much had a guarantee we would have zero money for the next month. But my wife decided that it was okay for me to get a DSLR. Well, let's just say for me to get PayPal credit so that I can get a DSLR. And that was the beginning of everything. I got it because I said, Mason, our son, is really cute. I want to do some YouTube videos with him, and there's this Canon 70D that is a really good recording device. And we could go with that, and I could record him and have family photos. And of course, I think all of you have been there in photography where you've convinced your wife that that expensive DSLR is worth it because you're going to take pictures of the family, a lot of pictures, and then she'll never have to miss those little kids when they grow up because you have hundreds of photos available. Can you get me on your Wi-Fi? I can't even see your SSID because you have it locked, right? You're hiding your SSID?
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna hook me up on the Wi-Fi there so I can see stats. So I got the DSLR, and I was so excited that I bought a connector to my telescope so I could get astrophotography of parts of the Milky Way, tiny little objects in the distance that were low contrast. And as I went out for the Milky Way many, many times in 2015, I fell in love. And as soon as I got that camera, I started taking wide-angle field views of the Milky Way. And many of you have heard this story, so I'll tell it quickly. But I was talking at a Sunday dinner that I'm going to go out to the Milky Way Tuesday morning, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to use my new camera. And Brendan he's my brother-in-law. Well, no, he's my cousin-in-law. Yeah. My wife's cousin is Brendan. His uncle is my father-in-law who's going to be at our workshops and giving food for people. So it is a family thing. He's there. He overhears me and says, yeah, I'd like to come.
But I'm only there like literally three or four times out of the year.
Oh, right.
It was very sporadic because my kids are just crazy. It's a 40-minute drive each way. And so when my kids now that my kids are a little older, it's easier to make that trip. and we come a lot more frequently. But before then, it was like we'd come maybe once or twice or 3 times a year.
Complete miracle that you were even there that Sunday before I left to go out to the Milky Way. Otherwise, we never would have gotten together. This never would have worked out. I mean, this.
Right.
I told my wife it's our anniversary today, and she didn't think, oh, Photog Adventures anniversary? She figured it was our relationship's anniversary. And that, oh, you guys hit a year mark? It's like, well, we hit a year mark a while ago. But when we went live with Photog Adventures, that was today last year. So he went out with me to the Milky Way. I said, dude, I've been thinking about doing a YouTube channel, and I love photography, and I'm loving doing this. You're already a photographer, and you came with me. You were willing to come with me. Let's do something with this. And so we talked about going into all the things we could do on YouTube for photography. I showed him Thomas Heaton. I showed him Nick Page. I showed him other people who are working, but really it's just those two. Elia Locardi, but Elia Locardi doesn't do those, blogs that you're following yourself out there in the field. And so we loved watching Nick Page and Thomas Heaton and getting inspired to be like, we could do this. No one's here in Utah doing it. Let's go for it. And I said, let's make a podcast too, where we could talk about the trip beforehand. We can go on the trip and then talk about what worked and didn't work in the podcast.
And that was actually a really cool idea too. And I thought, hey, I wanted to do a podcast for a while too, so that will work.
And let's see, what do I have it on here? I think I will. I think it's going to be an old file. Oh, come on. I have an old file where we've actually written down everything that we were going to do for Photog Adventures, and I might have kept it in a different window. So tell us,
before you bought this,
what was your nervousness? Oh, no, it wasn't. I had this before I got laid off. I took this with me glad because I was like, I'm going to do something awesome with this iPad Pro. So tell us why you were nervous about it. You told us your voice and everything, but with the podcast, you were thinking too much content, too much work. It definitely is.
Not necessarily too much content, too much work, because I honestly thought that podcasts would be a lot easier. I thought that doing a podcast would just be like, hey, you sit down like a radio show. It's just kind of like loose, off the cuff, unrehearsed, and you have topics and stuff. But I just assumed it'd be more like a radio show, and yet we had to script ourselves quite a bit at the beginning because...
Now, script you don't mean by all of our words that we said.
No, not every single word, but we had to outline and try to remember, because it was like, hey, that was an adventure from a month and a half ago. Do we remember what that was? And
there it is.
We tried to do it as soon as possible. But then the content started stacking up so much that we were always like on this like a month delay, and so... I'm
going to have to actually tweet this and put it on Facebook, post individually so you guys can see these pictures, but I'm going to hold it individually up. You could see it on YouTube, possibly not read any of that, but these notes right here were notes that we made for all the videos and places that we had gone so far. And I'll tweet this, but okay, so we're looking at mastering for podcast in the studio. I guess mastering was our terminology for watching us go out on adventures. Why did we call it mastering? But with the Delta Solar Ruins, Piowa Barn, 3-in-1 Night, the Silo Sunrise, Goosenecks, and then we had 8 podcasts, and we actually had video podcasts at the very first week.
Yeah, because we wanted to build up some content before we went live on YouTube, so we could actually have a little library. So when people came to us, they weren't just like finding just one video.
We wanted them to see,
find like 5 to 10 videos
and get to know us right away.
Yeah.
Like, what is this like? What are they going to be like? And I think in this list we had all these places that we're marking off. That's like, okay, Strawberry, Knowles, Trestle, Star Trails. Those are the podcasts that we'll start with. And then we had these videos that I created, and I ended up having only 4 of the 5. I think I created Piowa Barn later, but none of you know Piowa Barn because it was the first video that got a thumbs down, and I'm like, oh no, the video sucks. Everyone hates it. Delete it. And it honestly did suck, and so it was okay that I deleted it, and I got a notification up here that's in my way. And so
was it because the adventure was kind of a bust, right?
It was just me scouting a red barn, and when I get there, I'm like, this isn't going to be good. So what was it for?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like our other adventures. They were fun. Like I had that and Goosenecks and Goblin Valley, a 30-minute adventure of us driving together. And it's like, well, which one do I want to waste people's time on? Obviously, Goosenecks and Goblin Valley. And then let's go back to the beginning at this point once we went live, and let's talk about that feeling of releasing content and podcasts to a world of emptiness and silence. Go ahead and talk about that while I pull
nobody
some information
nobody
in.
knew about us, so we didn't really do much of any marketing because how do you like tell people besides like your friends on Facebook and your family?
And
that,
even they would not come.
And even they wouldn't even come.
They're
Like,
like,
I got
yeah.
400 plus friends at the time. I'm like, hey, check out my YouTube video, and we had
Sweet,
like 10
we'll get
views.
400 views and it'll help us get going.
Yeah.
No.
It was like 10. It was like, did you guys even see my post?
There was
What?
no greasing the wheels. We didn't get any assistance. I think even our parents were the only ones that would be willing to watch.
And I don't even know if they did. Like maybe after the first
Yeah, we
two.
saw one or two,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough to get us where we
liked
wanted to
that
go.
Video you did. Oh, which one? Oh, there's more than one. So you're not watching my videos.
Oh,
That's what
there's
that
more than
boiled
one.
down to, yeah. So
Wasn't
you're
it
not
Thomas
watching,
Heaton?
okay.
Thomas Heaton said even his mother hadn't subscribed to him yet.
Right.
And so it's not always
And she's on YouTube.
family gives
since
you
day
anything.
one.
Right. So when we released our first video, we did a test video. If you guys look at our oldest video, we have a test video called the Delta Solar Ruins that came out in April. We edited it real quick just to see how things would go. I showed Brendan how I could edit and what we could do something like. And that was our, I think we were so proud that we hit like 150 views by the time September came.
Yeah.
And that was probably mostly me on 4 different Google accounts testing to see what it was like. If I go in and I watch it, what do I see here on my stats? And do I see myself watching it live? And what's real-time stat number? Does it show me? And so I was doing that a lot and testing things like that. So you're not
I think it
going
was a fun video. I really liked it. We had a lot of fun doing it. We could have done a lot more because that whole trip wasn't just that ruins. Ruins was just a very small part of that trip. But we didn't really do a whole lot of recording because we didn't think about it until he pulled out his camera. We didn't have GoPros at the time. We just had his 70D.
Yeah, I used that to record us and that was it.
Yeah. And so that's why we had video besides the drone footage. So we're like, hey, let's fly the drone around. Oh, we got video. He's like, hey, I'll put up my camera. We can videotape this too. Duh. So it just kind of became this, oh, yeah, we can start doing this now. So, and then after that, we started formulating, okay, if we're going to do videos, let's get some GoPros or something small and light so we can carry them around. And yeah, it became a lot more fun at that point.
When we had a GoPro, we weren't sure we could afford the $200 GoPro, which sounds silly now after all the hundreds of dollars that we have spent since. But the $200 GoPro I rented at $20 a pop a weekend.
Like $300 or $400. It wasn't that. It wasn't $200.
It was only $300. It was $304 for a GoPro,
Yeah,
GoPro
because
Hero 4. Because
you got the silver and I got the black.
mine was $250.
Okay.
For the
I think
silver.
Mine was like, I think I got a deal at like $300. Just over
Yeah,
$320.
that's not important, the exact money that we spent. It's just the fact that we didn't think we could afford buying one, and so I was renting one at $20 a weekend. And we did that 4 or 5 times, and I realized I've almost bought one now. Why don't I just go and buy one? This is going to be much more useful and much more fun.
Yeah. So renting stuff's great if you're going to do it once or twice, but once you start doing, once you know you're going to be renting it 3 or 4, 5 times, you might as well just go out and buy it.
Right?
So it happens with a lot of stuff, actually. Obviously not something that costs 10 grand, but you know.
Yeah, we'll get the red camera someday.
I don't know. I mean,
you don't want to be Devin Supertramp?
Would love to have a 8K camera, but I don't have 50 grand. And I don't know if I ever want to spend 50 grand on a piece of equipment when I could buy a whole slew of things for that.
We'll spend 50 grand just in tire repair and engine repair over the next 5 years, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, very well. If we do things right,
If we
tires,
do things
you always
right.
get you always get the warranty of the tires. Always get the hazard insurance or whatever that is. Yeah.
So let's look at some of our stats. I'm going to pull up our YouTube stats and let's reminisce on the very beginning and our podcast stats. So first, our YouTube stuff. If I go back to our analytics and let me look at just our audience back in the beginning, you see our subscriber numbers on the overview, and we can pull down and see just today we have, okay, the last 28 days we've had plus 396. So put that into perspective as to how things went back in, let's go back as far as October 2016. So our first month of September 8th to October, we ended up getting 38 subscribers. 38 subscribers.
We saw the spike on the 27th, which is huge.
That spike was like 17 or something
17
subscribers.
Or 18 people were like, whoa.
Well, we doubled it. If we hadn't gotten that spike, We had nothing.
That one day somehow doubled our subscribers that month for the whole
Oh,
month.
sorry. Sorry, I just kicked the tripod stretching my leg. And then we look at our next month, November 2016, and we gained 44, and that felt really good. It was like, hey, we got more.
Bump up, yeah.
December, we had 89. We doubled it. We doubled our subscriber count.
Exciting.
Felt friggin' awesome. January, though, what? 144? We got more than 100 subscribers in a single month?
Yeah, that was groundbreaking for us.
It really was. I have a stat sheet that I've created that let me pull up here, where you can actually see the total that we had and then how we jumped the entire total right there. So I am pulled in right here. Go to bookmarks, show me my Gmail, and then let's go into that. So Brendan, talk about the podcast recording and how it felt your first time actually talking to a podcast when you knew no one was listening, but you're trying to pretend like someone's listening just in case in the future someone does. It's kind of a weird feeling knowing that you're talking to each other only, but you're hoping that if you just talk as if people are listening, then when they finally are, when they go back to listen to that podcast episode, it wouldn't be weird or awkward.
Well, and we had that conversation before like a good week before the podcast, that's how we have to do it. Like we should just approach it like we've already got 100 people listening.
Yeah.
We've done public speaking since we were kids, more or less. In different audiences and groups, whether it's at church or scouts or whatever. So, and Aaron's got more of like a radio type voice, and so that
which I love. Thank you guys.
Yeah, that gave me some confidence to just have a conversation.
It wasn't my good looks that gave you confidence to go forward with the podcast?
No, it was your voice.
Just your voice. You had me a hello, Brendan.
And I've had friends that I have friends that do voiceover work professionally, and I've actually been in a situation for a part-time job, actually recording some actors, voice actors, and doing that kind of work for auditions. And so, knowing all of that and having a production background in both video and audio, and my brother has his own recording studio, and has been doing that for years, and so. Just already knowing that in the background made it a lot easier for me. My reservation wasn't so much technical or that I could do it. It was just what was the right subject, and and do I want to do that by myself? Do I want to be like the lone voice on my podcast or whatever? So having someone like Darren that was interested in doing it too, it made it a lot easier. Just okay, let's just do it. We decided to do it, and then we just started doing it. It was not much else to it, which is really cool.
So little stats, little throwbacks and stats right here for our podcast, guys. Back in September, when we released our first podcast, we went through September 8th to October 8th, we had 210 plays, which is honestly a little surprising because I look at that and think, really? Who was listening?
Yeah, because that's actually a lot for a very first podcast, I think, without being famous.
I felt pretty proud, and we had 163 listens from the United States, 17 from Canada, 14 United Kingdom, 8 from the Netherlands, 5 from Australia, 1 from Romania, 1 Italy, and 1 Chile. So we didn't realize how to even find our stats at this time. I don't think it was until November, before we interviewed Jeff Harmon, we kind of found these stats. So let me change the stats range to include let's go right into November. And so we go into November, we'll go November 8th, so it just sticks with that month. And you apply those dates and see the stats. And we looked at these stats at that time. And Brendan and I looked at each other and said, 34 listens in Australia? And right now I'm wondering, was it you, Jeff Pritchard? I don't know if you're on any of these right now, but was it you listening? Because when we realized Australia, Ireland, Netherlands, I have friends and family in the Netherlands. I know people who are in Canada and United Kingdom and America, and so his connections, my connections, possibly those are those people watching it. I think someone just said here. I think that was Jeff. I think Jeff is here. Jeff, were you listening in October and November? Did you find us by then? Because we couldn't believe that we had Australia. That was a surprise. I think that was the big key that said, Wow, people are
people
listening.
outside of the United States are listening to us? That's amazing.
We had just barely started Instagram, and I was getting completely frustrated with the bots on Instagram. Great post, smiley face, beautiful image, wonderful.
Follow me too, follow me too, follow me too. And it's
I thought, okay, all these people who are showing up aren't real. In SoundCloud, I'd release a podcast, and within 10 seconds, it would say, this girl likes your track, this guy likes your track. And it was always just a robot saying, hey, okay, find them, like them, they'll like you back, check your stuff. And if I can hit, 1 million people, maybe 100,000 people will watch your stuff, like it, and maybe 10,000 of them will actually follow you. And so it's this bot method of growing your feed. And so I thought, all the listens that we've had so far are just kind of robots. They're probably not real people. And as soon as you click play on our podcast, it counts. It doesn't tell us that you've watched or listened all of it. The same thing for YouTube. Our YouTube channel playing over Brendan's shoulder, that if you just watched it, we got a stat. And so we didn't know if you liked it, but we do on YouTube at least have a heat map that shows us when you bail and you stop watching. So we can kind of identify that. But with the podcast, we had no idea. So 526 plays. Well, how many of those are 15 bots every time we released a podcast? At this time, we had released 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 podcasts at that time. And our most popular podcast at that time was Reflecting the Milky Way in Mirror Lake. And I guess that was with Royce Bear. And so when we had that shot talking about Royce Bear, I think we got an opportunity. We didn't interview him yet. We just talked about him. So I guess this didn't come from Royce Bear fans yet. But when it did, things changed big time.
Yeah, and was Royce Bear before we did anybody else? Was he our
nope,
first interview?
Jeff Harmon was our very first interview. So thank you, Jeff, for being willing to come on with us and trusting us to be anything at all and not a waste of your friggin' time to join us. And so we appreciate it. And I'm just going to throw up the stats right here. I'm going to do a quick screenshot and I'll tweet that just because, I don't know, I find it fascinating, fun, and I'll also tweet the image of our overall stats just because, well, let's just maybe do the last 14 days. Because the last 14 days versus that 2-month period is 500 plays to 2,135 plays.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the only reason why the 14 days is only that is because we have had technical issues. I haven't had podcasts coming out. They're kind of like separated by 10, 11 days the last 2 months instead of every 7 like planned.
Yeah.
And so, Brendan, while I get these tweets out, can you talk about, we mentioned the technical difficulties. It's a new year. Quick comment. The Astro Guy Australian, I think he said something about Escalante. I think you're saying that you're excited for Escalante or blah, blah, blah. Darn it. Why can't you, YouTube, give us those messages longer? What if I hit this button? No, that doesn't help me see the messages. What a bummer. If only I had an intern or Rob Ryan, but Rob Ryan's working.
The actual YouTube channel now. Let's see.
I can pull it up on here and see what you said. He said part 2. Oh yeah, Astro Guy's asking, where the heck is Escalante Part 2? Well, the technical difficulties has caused that problem. And
We're working on it.
Thanks for reposting that multiple times so that we saw it, because it really did help. It really did help. Tell them about what our plan is going forward because of our growth current to this point and how we're thinking about advancing it, and maybe not in the extreme sense, but what our goal is.
So our goal is to make this full-time for both of us, really. So Aaron works full-time, supporting his family, and my wife works full-time for our family, and I do some part-time work on the side to pull in a little extra. And so our goal is to get him full-time so his family's supported, and then for me it will probably take a little bit more time for me to go full-time, just because I've got to make up and compensate for my wife's income, which is actually pretty good. So
not bragging or anything.
No, I mean, she's been doing nursing for a long time, so the pay scale, after so many years goes pretty well. So
it's hard for you to replace that income.
Yeah, and I got to do more than just replace it. I've got to get like 1.5 times it, kind of thing. So for us to be okay, so because then you got insurance and all that stuff, benefits that
All right, move on.
Okay. So our goal is to get us full time, and starting next year, we're going to start doing workshops. And we've got a short workshop coming up in 2 weeks, and here locally, and we've got some people coming from
Canada,
Canada,
East Coast,
like, and even
California.
Maybe a guy from Europe. I think there's some guy from Europe coming down as well.
I haven't been able to identify that, but it's just because the information that he has on his email is all I have.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have any of his
He was
demographics.
asking Raphael Pons about places, and we assumed he was coming from that kind of area.
Yeah, we're hoping he comes. That'd be awesome.
So we're going to take him out of the salt flats, and I think a lot of people have wanted and dreamed about being in the salt flats for years, you know, and so it's one of their goals. So we're going to take him out there, and for us, it's only a 2-hour drive. For these people, they're going to fly halfway across the world to get to the salt flats finally, you know. So that's pretty awesome.
Right.
And we'll take him out to another place close by as well, which we like for dark sites. So
repeat that message on YouTube. Go ahead, just copy and paste it again, because I saw that it happened, but I missed it. YouTube fades out.
Fast, yeah.
It's like, why? I don't need to.
It's like 2 seconds.
Right. It's like it can sit there for a minute. It's not going to cause a problem for our video, except for me doing this.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to start doing workshops next year. When we first met Royce, we kind of went over our plan. We said, yeah, we want to do this for a year or two and get some credibility and get a good portfolio going, and then we want to do workshops. And Royce said, that's what I did. You guys are on the right track. And we're like, really? Wow,
we were so excited by that.
Make this happen, really? He's like, yeah, absolutely. That's a great plan. So we're like, wow, cool. Like, we just got like totally pat on the back by Royce, who's doing it, you know, full time, doesn't do anything else, just does his workshops. And I mean, yeah, he's retired, and he probably has like, you know, some money saved up from
tons more time. He doesn't have to make too much from it, but he does well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's doing okay. So that's pretty awesome to have that endorsement.
Yeah, I sent off the tweet, so it's at Facebook and our Twitter. If you guys are following us there, you can see those 2 stat figures, and I don't know what else is on that image. I just screenshot my whole iPad, so you saw exactly everything there. Ooh, scary. So the excitement of changing plans going forward. We were going to start in April, and we said, no, let's get really ready. And our goal was, let's go live in June. We're going to go live in June, but Aaron King couldn't edit 4 videos in time. I'm to maybe Brendan's secret chagrin, he hasn't told me, I'm a perfectionist. And so even though our videos come out with plenty of flaws, I'm working my butt off to try and get those flaws to as small as possible. Yeah. And then the videos go out. And so I couldn't get out 4 videos very quickly, and the Gooseneck's Goblin video was huge. I mean, we had 3 hours of stuff to edit and became a 30-minute video. So I couldn't get it by June. And so I'm thought, okay, I'll take more time. We'll get it done by July 4th. That'll be a long weekend. I can get it done then. No, didn't do it. Okay, July 24th. That's the time, Brendan. And it didn't happen. And then in August, I'm sitting there and I'm starting to get these notifications in my YouTube recommendations saying, try out this video. This guy has a great design. He's got a simple rectangle on the middle of his image, white rectangle with white text. And I'm like, who is this Andrew Marr, who I love? I love Andrew Marr. His photography is great. Following him in Australia is so much fun. Yeah. And his videos start popping up. And I'm like, oh no, no. There's a new Photog Adventure type guy out there who's going out and doing photography and recording it. And he beat us to it because he put his first video out, I think, in July of 2016. And now I would have beaten him if I'd gotten out in June like I planned. So I was so discouraged, but I was watching him, see how it goes for him. I'm like, wow, he got almost 1,000 subscribers already. So when Brendan and I release, we'll have about 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. No, not even close.
I don't know how. We kind of missed the YouTube magic somehow. I'm not sure what we did right or wrong. Or...
We have 2 theories why Andrew Mars is working better. One, he's in Australia, and most of his views are coming from the United States. And people in the United States aren't as necessarily enthused and stoked to go watch Utah. Not all of them realize how awesome Utah is. Yeah. And so they don't think, oh, Goosenecks and Goblin Valley, right on. But then they see a beach in Australia, they're like, I want to see that. Right. That'd be awesome. Right. And so we think that's just an inherent ability to gain the United States crowd easier than we are. Thomas Heaton in the UK, terribly popular. Nick Page has had great popularity, and he's got his videos up after he already had an audience. And so then he's gotten great following there too. And so we thought,
but
okay.
Again, it's a lot of beach stuff, you know, coastal stuff. And so people, I think, tend to be more drawn
not
to
the desert of Utah. I mean, it is beautiful.
Right. So I mean, we kind of showcase the beauty of the desert, and a lot of people in Europe though really think the desert is absolutely amazing.
And they're right.
And they're just completely just wide-eyed about the desert stuff and the red rock and stuff. And I think a lot of our audience comes from that. But people that live in the Southwest, they want to see the beach. They don't want to see more desert. So
we think that's the first reason. And the second reason is his videos are always what you expect. They are a video of him going out. He has the same graphic for all of his thumbnails. It's very consistent and solid. And it is consistently this type of video. YouTube sees that people watch it. And then when he posts another one, they recommend it and people watch it. So it's like, okay, great. He posts another one, people watch it and they recommend it. Well, they always recommend our Photog Adventure videos. That playlist that's going on in the background right now is the Photog Adventure playlist. But when we do our live videos that are short, we get like 200, 300 people. If we do a post that's just, hey, we're going here, guys, and doing this, we don't get much. The things that are really popular on our page are Photog Adventures, tutorial videos, and gear time. Gear time. Anything about gear grows. I mean, we put out a video called 2016 Gear that we love, and it was incredible. I was posting it in every video where like a little pop-up would say, check out our gear. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's really been popular. Let me move one of our other videos into that pop-up because it helped gear. No, it had nothing to do with that pop-up. Oh, post that video, post that message again on YouTube. Sorry, missed it. That fades out as soon as I start looking. And so...
yeah, we don't notice it in time. And then,
So the gear time video, when I stopped publicizing it and putting it up into every video, it still carried that same consistent following. YouTube was recommending it. People were looking for that piece of gear. We had a keyword for that piece of gear and they were finding it. And so we think, we have a YouTube channel that is sort of a smattering of multiple things. It's not bad. I mean, Peter McKinnon does something like ours, much better, and he has a huge following. And so it's not like we are hurting ourselves because we're doing other options, but we are definitely not Andrew Marr consistent, where he's had a consistent growth. He hit 6,000 by Christmas. He's already up to 10,000. The guy is awesome, and we are just sitting back hoping that we can catch up to him someday. We're sitting happily at 2,600 something, and we are every bit happy every second that we have those people watching. But we release a video and about 800 watch it. And so up to 2,600 people, we feel like only 800 are real. I just found you guys while out in Salt Lake City in July this year. I was searching for Utah locations for astrophotography and I saw that you had a workshop near Salt Lake City. Yes!
Hey, awesome.
See, we are always boggled when people find us somehow. It's completely weird to deal with organic traffic. There's nothing you can do to make sure it happens practically. Only thing you can...
we didn't have any money for marketing. We did almost zero marketing. We just did as much as we could for free, you know, through Facebook and Google and YouTube and stuff, and just prayed and hoped that the search engines would help people find us by, you know, we did a lot of research on tags and descriptions and how to, you know, be most successful with your videos, and we did a lot of learning over the last year. A lot of learning.
Oh yeah.
And we studied we studied other people and their success and tried to see what we could do to mimic their success and what we could do, you know, to improve our own. So yeah, it's been interesting.
So any of you out there who are thinking, I would love to do a YouTube channel. In fact, there was an awesome guy who didn't come up to me. He told me on our live feed. After a live feed, he messaged me and said, you guys have inspired me to start my own channel here out in Australia. And so I can't wait to see what he comes up with, and I can't wait to follow him. His name is slipping right now, so I apologize to you. Pull it up. No, I'm not going to be able to pull it up on the spot. It's one of those things. And that's me. It is him. Hey. It's the Astro Guy in Australia. That's right. Yes. Awesome. Shane, hey man, thanks. It was Shane. Shane's putting up a channel. So if you guys want to follow the Astro Guy Australia, definitely follow him. He's coming up with a channel. And another question. I'll be back in January 2018. We'd love to link up with you guys for some shooting. I'll be out there for 6 weeks. Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah,
Chuck.
That's totally, yep.
Chuck, we're in.
Plenty of time.
I think the one talent that Brendan and I have is a complete willingness to be accessible. Unless you guys are murderers, let us know. We're going to hang out with you and go out and do photography.
Yeah, knife in the back, whether real or, you know...
Just promise me I won't suffer.
Otherwise.
Take care of my wife. So here's for you who are interested in starting a YouTube channel, and Shane, man, maybe this information will be interesting or depressing, I don't know. So when we started out, and we're watching 2 months go by of Andrew Marr, and he's up to 2,000, and here's our first 2 months. Pre-September 8th, we had 14 subscribers. Now, 7 of those were Brendan and I, so that wasn't even real. We were just testing subscribers and how that all worked. September 2016, we earned 12 subscribers. Then we had 38, then we gained 44, in December we gained 89. So we ended the year when we had 4 months of this at a total of 197 subscribers. Andrew Marr had 2,000, and we had 197. No, I take that back. By the end of the year, he had 6,000, and we had 197. He had 2,000 the first 2 months. And so we're
racking our brains, like, what did he do? What can we do to be the same? Like, what?
I don't know if Andrew Marr will find this, especially being towards the middle of the post if he got through 30 minutes of listening to us. But Andrew Marr, I hope you hear this. We love you. Thank you so much for your message. We wrote him a letter saying, hey, we consider you a peer, not a competitor. We see you as someone who's very successful in doing what we're trying to do. Is there any advice that you could give us so that we can reach there too? Because there's so much space on the internet for everybody. I mean, the Astro guy in Australia, is he going to be a competitor? Heck no. We're going to publicize his videos because the internet's huge. And so we thought, hey, can you give us any tips? And he did. He came back with this giant letter of tips. And it spent me 2-3 weeks going through it, applying it, changing things, and following it. And I still, Andrew Marr, haven't written you back a nice big long letter. I've started one, but I haven't hit send because I wanted to kind of like, you gave me this giant one, I'm going to give you this giant letter. And so we got advice from him and we started implementing them. But I think the biggest thing for us, and I think we owe you, Jeff Harmon, is that we interviewed Jeff Harmon in December, and at that point things really jumped. Yeah. Was it entirely a catalyst of Jeff Harmon's interview? Yes, Jeff, thank you. No, I mean, it was just that we started reaching more audience on our podcast and more people found our videos and YouTube. And every day we get people who find our Facebook page without knowing we have podcasts or even YouTube. Or people who found our podcast had no idea we did a YouTube channel, even though we mention it all the time.
Yeah, so luckily we were able to spread ourselves across some big platforms, some of the most popular ones. And by getting on Instagram, getting on Facebook, getting on YouTube, and getting on...
I wouldn't say Twitter has helped us all that much, but the 30 guys and I who hang out on Twitter, love you, but I mean, we're not really gaining much from it.
Yeah, no, but luckily all the search engines were able to start finding after posting for months and months and months. Yeah. And started recommending us, and so that's been a really big growth for us.
So continuing on the behind the scenes of YouTube growth, in the end of 2016 we had 197 subscribers. Brendan and I looked at each other and said, okay, if we don't get to X maybe by June, maybe we should consider doing a lot fewer videos. It's a ton of work. It's a ton of work doing podcasts. Maybe we ramp back a little bit. Well, then something crazy happened. I mean, January was amazing. We had 197 subs. And in January alone, we gained 139 subscribers.
Right.
So that was a huge ego boost. Like, oh, wow.
Then doubled our numbers in a month.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
The very next month, we only gained 109. So I thought, oh, it was a fluke. It was just a fluke. Who cares? I guess we'll just see how we grow slowly. In all the predictions where it looks at your stats, it says, in 10 years, you'll have X amount. Jade's looking for you on there. So in February, we gained only 109, but in March, we went out to the Improved Photography Retreat, and we met a lot of people out there, and I think that not only helped us emotionally and excitedly about everything that we're doing, but it gave us an opportunity to meet more people who actually had heard our podcast and people who wanted to know more. And we thought, okay, Milky Way is it. We've got to keep talking Milky Way.
Yeah, people love Milky Way. So if you're going to be in the desert and not on a beach, Milky Way is it.
Right.
If you get beach and Milky Way, which we have got before, even better.
Not everyone can get a Milky Way, but we can. And so we kind of got this monopoly right now.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And so in March, we ended up having our best month yet, 160 subscribers, and those best months continued. Here real quick, from April until now, here's the numbers of each month's subscriber count. Or no, the addition. So we added 296 in April. We added 319 in May. We added 365 in June. We added 448 in July, and we added 484. We have consistently gone up 20, 30, 40 from the previous month every month since. Now to put that in perspective, in December, after 4 months of subscribers jumping in, we had 197. In just the months of July and August, we went up 900 plus subscribers. So we have every month since really April, we've had more subscribers in 1 month than we had all of 2016.
Right, right.
And so it's just been astounding.
That's awesome.
YouTube is not kidding when they say it's a marathon of going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It is Astro Guy, Australia, Shane, man, if you experience any depression after 6 months, don't have any of it, because you're going to grow. And you might even have that Australia growth that Andrew Marr had, that the US is just in love with you, and you're doing astro. I mean, that's going to be killer. It's
you guys got a nice accent. You got a cool area you can go to. If you're doing astro out there too, that's a big bonus. So yeah, you could have
you got a better looking Milky Way.
Yeah.
They got the Milky Way up high. The crown jewel of the galactic core is visible on both sides. I mean, they could see all of that in the southern hemisphere. You got the Magellanic Clouds, and so you add to that, you got a lot of opportunities. So our YouTube growth has been astounding the last 6 months. And any thought we had of slowing down is completely gone. In fact, Brendan and I are now going to ramp up. Now,
a little bit. So we have a little project in mind.
Yes. I want to say it, but I also want to put a disclaimer out. Real quick. I'm following 24 Landscape 77. I missed it. I saw that you're following someone. I don't know what that was going to be. So post it again on YouTube. So we haven't seen any messages come through on YouTube, on Facebook.
Messages, I don't think,
but we have people listening and everything's working out, so we're good.
Some live views going on,
So here's the thing. Facebook has been fantastic for growing our audience when it comes to bringing people to our Facebook listeners group. And so we need to have a better presence on our page. We have less than 500 likes on our Facebook page. And we have 2,600 people who are watching our YouTube channel. We have 600 plus people in the Facebook listener group. And our podcast, we get on average 500 the first day, 200 to 300 the next few days. And so we're guessing that there's legitimately 800 unique people listening to our podcast the first week. The first week, and after that, it's just kind of trickle. And so if we add all those up and subtract the Facebook listeners group, supposing that maybe all 600 are on our YouTube channel and all 600 of them are also on our podcast, then we have roughly about 2,200, 2,300 people who are unique that are going to do things, look at our content, check out our stuff, and yet our Facebook page has less than 500 likes. And so we're going to start putting more effort there. And what that ends up meaning, LOL. He's just LOL. I'm not sure what, but yeah, I think he feels it. I think he feels the fact that just it's so small. And so what we're going to do is Facebook really loves video. These live videos, like right here, Facebook loves them. So here's a message. I'm following channels, so there is no real competition. I look forward to each new video from all of you. Yes! Nice. He says he's following, guys. There isn't a competition. We love all of them. In fact, someday I could dream of having this like gathering of minds of YouTube channels doing astrophotography. Have Shane, have Milky Way Mike, have, you know, even the Northrop. Even
Mark G can come.
Even Mark G? Please, Mark G. It'd be so awesome if Mark G joined us. So we're going to put out a lot of videos now, and they're going to be short, sweet videos. And YouTube, unless you guys watch them, we might have to not post them there. We might only post them on Facebook. And I point like this because that phone is on YouTube and that phone's on Facebook. And so that's why I do that. Facebook, we're going to be posting a video a day. It's tiny, short videos. Our Sunday is going to be a chance to do an Astro Primer. For those of you who listen to the Astrophotog podcast when I did the Astro Primer, I want to keep doing that, but I'm going to put it out there by itself because I couldn't always edit the whole Astrophotog podcast. In fact, I have 3 recorded that are not out. That's how bad it is. But I'm going to put out the Astro Primer once a week so everyone knows what's going on in the celestial events, what cool things happening, and I believe that'll be a fun video that people might even share. Like a quick animation of the how the moon looks, what's going to happen with the Milky Way, where it's going to be, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere as well, and just having a quick Astro Primer every Sunday. As well as on Monday, we're going to post our Milky Way moment, which might be a quick video of saying, here in PhotoPills, this is how you save your coordinates for a location and bring them over to the moon side of the app. Boom, boom, boom. Quick video, bop, 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 bop. It'll be out there on Facebook and YouTube, because that's a good YouTube video. The Astro Primer video, I kind of want to put it on YouTube, but I don't want YouTube to see that and say, 200 people watch this, we're not going to recommend Photog Adventures to anyone anymore. We want them to not like that type of video and that playlist, but we hope that they'll still like our Photog Adventures playlist. So we're going to mess around with that. But Facebook, you're getting the big glory because you're going to see that on Sunday, on Monday. The podcast comes out on Monday. Right now, currently, it doesn't, but we will be good. We will actually end with 50th episode on Monday, next Monday. And from that point on, in 2018, the next year, the promise that I have for all of you is now I have a good computer. I have no excuse, no tech issues. We will be consistent on Monday. So when you say, hey, it's Monday, it's Photog Adventure time. My goal is to release it Sunday night so that those of you in Australia, in the UK, you can follow that podcast right there on your Monday while America's sleeping. And so it'll be available for you when you drive to work Monday morning. That is my goal and promise to you. And as you know, my promises have often been falling short. I can't expect you to believe me, but in 3 months, we'll see how it goes. Congrats on 1 year. Hey, thank you.
Thanks.
We are really excited to have 1 year. It's just, we didn't know all the work that we had ahead of ourselves. We didn't think we'd have all this fun equipment to do this with, and just having, we didn't even look at it, but what are our numbers on YouTube? I mean, how many videos do we have? If I go right here and look at our number of videos, will it give me a total? It doesn't here.
It's hard to find out.
If you go to the YouTube app itself.
Sometimes it tells you, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go to there while I'm
page
still talking.
sometimes
So my channel, I did use the thumbnail, a good one, where I'm poking my thumb into your face.
Yeah, just under my chin there.
So we have 2,639 subscribers right now. Awesome. And when we go to our videos, what's it say? It doesn't say it. About. The about says nothing. Wait. Oh, it says views.
Yeah,
it doesn't say number of
actually say
videos.
how many videos. It's
On
weird.
the
It tells
actual
you it's like-
desktop app, it'll say the number of videos.
Yeah, I always find it funny how it tells us everybody else's videos how many they have, but not our, like our
I
own.
I know. I'm thinking about our number being between 50 and 60, if it might even be a little past 60. If one of you have it open, let us know.
I can't remember what it is. Yeah, it's...
But our goals, and let me pull into our 53 app because this is where I do all my brainstorming, and it often happens on the freeway, and I pull off the road on an exit, and I sit there on the exit hoping a semi won't crash into me pulling off the road while I write down all these notes because I can't go anywhere without being inspired. Do this. Oh, no, do that. Because we're always thinking about you guys and what we can do to make you guys have a lot more fun following us. So that post must have been on Astrophotog. Must be, unless it's this. No, it's not that. Okay, so I'm pulling that up. Oh, I know where it was. It was here. Booyah. There it is. Nope. I'm saying the wrong thing. It is not there yet, but we're talking about Milky Way Monday. We have Astrophotog Primer on Sunday, and the podcast comes out on Monday, so that means we're going to be posting the podcast, a quick preview on our Facebook channel, listening to it to try and pull more people, random people, to say, oh, that's a podcast about astrophotography and landscape photography.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
You hear us for some of the podcast. Hopefully I can even edit in some of the fun parts of the podcast so that you get an idea about what we are. And then you'll be more enticed to go and find us. I think I must have just looked right over on the Photog Adventures page.
Yeah, because I think it was a Photog Adventure.
I have this Paper 53 app, and I can put all this information in here. And now we are missing that one document that I made that showed all the cool things that we could do. Did I post it in the beginning, and that's why it's just lost? Brendan, tell us about the gear time video you're going to do on Thursday and what that would be.
So yeah, I want to do a short gear time video every Thursday, and I'm still behind on some bigger videos that I've been working on. But I want to do just focus on a little thing, on maybe one part of the camera, or maybe one piece of gear that's small and quick. You guys can, that will give you an advantage over this thing or that thing or whatever. And so every week I want to do that, and I might actually start doing a weekly macro thing too. So
Ooh, I'd love that.
I love macro photography. I've been doing macro photography way before most of my other stuff. I mean, when I first got my first digital camera, and I could zoom in and then get really close to subjects and do some macro stuff, I was in love. So I've got some really old pictures on my computer of some of my early macro stuff, and I still think it's cool. I still like it. I was still impressed with even some of my earlier images. So I've had several macro lenses over the years, and I've got a pretty decent one now with the Canon 100mm macro. I've owned the Sigma 180 in the past. It got stolen. I really want to get replaced again because it was such a great lens. 180mm and macro. Oh, it was fantastic.
You're stuck with that. You're so excited for that.
Yeah. So I need to make some more money so I can buy another lens because that wasn't cheap. That was not a cheap one, and I really missed that lens.
So gear time, what were you doing for gear time?
So gear time, anyways, I'm still reminiscing on that.
He thinks about the prices so much. It's like, oh, the price was so good.
It was a good price, and yeah, sometimes you never get the same price again. So, whether it's a lens or a filter or some kind of cool thing, whether it's a piece of equipment or maybe even a little program for your phone or computer, I want to do a little short gear time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. You know, it just depends on what the subject is, and do a little video, short video every week on gear time, and then another short video on macro. There's cool stuff you can do in macro. I mean, anything from objects that are just normal everyday house objects that you can just blow up and make look really cool abstract pictures out of, to maybe even doing extreme macro. Or I saw some examples of a website doing extreme macro, like the scales on a butterfly's wings was unbelievable.
Oh,
and I was
that'd
just
be
like,
cool.
like you can actually see the individual scales. Like you can't see them with your naked eye, but you can see it with a really cool macro setup. And you can do this really inexpensively too. So I'll show you guys. I want to start exploring that and show you guys how to get really cool macro shots and how to achieve those. And I want to try to do that every week as well.
And I hope you can do the macro, because that'd be perfect to put into our Tuesday slot, because we have the Sunday Astro Primer, we have the Monday Milky Way Monday and the podcast preview. In fact, I could even move it over to Tuesday if we have nothing else. Tuesday we have macro photography possibly. Wednesday, this is something that all of you guys should like a lot, is that we're going to do our moment of envy. And the moment of envy is going to be featuring our Facebook listeners. Because on Facebook you can post a picture, we can see a picture that we're just so proud of, just such an amazing shot, and we want to feature you. And so Wednesday's video on Facebook, on our Facebook page, is going to be the moment of envy for the week. And so every week, come back and check in on Wednesday and see who we chose. It might be your photo. It could be something that you just barely created. You had no idea we even saw it. We haven't even hit a like button yet maybe on it. And all of a sudden, there it is, your name, your Instagram, and we're talking about why we love it. And so we're hoping to do that video. And a moment of envy will probably come just from us during the podcast recording. We'll pull it up, record ourselves talking about it, and it'll be a video with your picture. And so it is something we're excited about, to feature you guys more, just because, well, how do we thank you? How do we thank you for just giving us your time and blessing us with your presence as you come to all of these Facebook Lives? I mean, it is Friday morning, and we have almost 20 plus of you on both of these watching. And so it's just very flattering, and we just love it, and we want to give back. Thursday with the Gear Time video. Friday we have our regular Photog Adventure, and we've been posting it only on YouTube. And because YouTube, if we grow an audience there, we have our best chance of monetizing it and being able to go full time. And Facebook, we had zero chance to monetize it. But now we're realizing we want to grow our Facebook group more so that we can tell you guys about the stuff that we're working on in our workshops. And so we need a bigger audience on Facebook. So I'll be posting on YouTube, and I'll be posting it on Facebook. And it'll be a 10-minute, 15-minute video on Facebook, on our Facebook page. And so our Friday video, pardon my ignorance, are you then saying so long as the moon has set you, you can photograph the Milky Way anywhere? Okay. I have a comment that just came through on YouTube, and I want to reply to it, because I think you've noticed that Brendan and I are so incessant about replying quickly to you guys. And this is not from the chat right now, not for live. Video, right? It's a different video, and so I got to reply to that later on. So if you know we're live and you just posted that, hey, I'm going to get back to that answer really soon. So then on Friday will be the Photog Adventure, and then Saturday we're doing our image photo taking process micro video. Sometimes it's just slides of pictures. I've already done it once up in Smith's Ferry area, back where I had the eclipse, and I basically took a picture of every piece of gear that I used. Boom, 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 boom. Everything involved in this one shot. And it concludes with the final processed image of the shot. And so I'm hoping that we can make these as short videos, of little short video clips of this camera, this thing, grab and put things. I did it initially as still images, but I think that's terrible. I think it needs to be video.
Okay.
So it's a short, if you guys seen those baking videos where people are looking down on the table and they drop a bowl, they drop some flour in there, put thing, and they drizzle it with chocolate, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to eat that.
Like, I can make that. And you go back to like, that took me half an hour.
Exactly. I'm hoping that I could be successful in making a video version of that for photography, where it's like, check out this image, this awesome Milky Way image. And then it's like, here's a 35, 45-second video of here's the recipe.
The ingredients to make that picture work.
So I'm hoping that that'll be a fun feature, and that puts us at 7 days with just Tuesday missing of posting videos. This is insane. Some of you are probably shaking your head saying, guys, you can't do this. You're barely able to do a Friday video, a Monday podcast. How are you possibly going to be able to do this? Well, I get laid off again. I started this podcast talking about that I'm I got laid off, and it opened up my world. Well, I'm getting laid off again. Hooray. By February 16th, I will have no job, which means all the projects I'm working on right now, the stuff that are my secret projects, the stuff that I'm going to help sell and you know, be an entrepreneur from home, it's going to open up my opportunity to work full-time. Brendan is already a full-time father, but we're working and we have a friend who's going to help us out with getting a space, a shared space that we can go to and get away from the distractions. 4 hours a day, something like that, where we don't have that right now. I mean, when you want to...
an actual studio space will be huge. Right now we're just kind of working out of our homes, doing the best we can. I mean, I've got a pretty good space here downstairs in my office, but when my kids are home, they're jumping on the ceiling above me. It's really distracting.
Can't record a thing during the day.
He's got a great space in his
it's
house.
awesome.
Just behind his garage, he's got a space that's bigger than this room, and we can do our podcast there and be uninterrupted for the most part, which is great. So, but that's, you know, he's still working 40 plus hours a week, 40 hours a week.
And if I go by train, that's 15 hours a week that I lose by train. And so we're talking 55 hours a week are gone, other than sleep, eating, and after work, before work times. And so the reality is we go to work all day and we come back at 10 p.m. and get started, or 8 p.m. for me sometimes. It's just, it's a challenge to fit it in. So if we get 4 hours from just going there, if I left my job to pursue landscape photography, loving it. Love to come hang out in the Narrows. Awesome. The man, I missed your name because I was reading your awesome message so much, but he's saying he just left his job to go full-time landscape photography, and he loves it.
Wow.
And he loves the Narrows, the area. He'd love to come down and join us, and we would love to have you.
It's inspiring.
The Mund life. That's why I couldn't figure it out fast enough. I had no idea what that word was. The Mund life. So if you guys want to go follow the Mund life, go check out his stuff. I'm going to go check it out after this.
Yeah.
So it is going to be brilliant on February 16th. I would quit my job tomorrow if my wife would not go insane. She would be just frustrated as all get out. And so
it takes a little bit of, it's kind of one of those things you got to incrementally, you know, get yourself to just the breaking point, and then you can go over tipping point, I guess what it is.
I have some clever ideas of ways that I can put out value. And Instagram, please. Instagram, Mund Life Instagram. You got it. We'll go to your Instagram. And Brendan runs our Instagram, so check out the stuff he does. If you guys have any messages over there to Instagram, it's Brendan who's responding to you mostly. I'll pop in there very, very rarely with all the other stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
So I know, and my wife knows that is the date, and she just has to deal with that. But I have some clever ideas. All right, so you guys going to do any workshops for shooting the Milky Way? Absolutely. In fact, we have a podcast that is sitting right now. I've completely uploaded it to SoundCloud. I just have to click save, but I haven't clicked save because there's a link that I told you about in the podcast to go to, and it has to exist. And I just about loaded it this morning, but we're running late for this live feed, so I'm going to be doing that here when I head home. So I head home and I'll hit that button, and there are 8 workshops we're doing next year for Milky Way photography. So if you want to join us for 5 days, 4 nights, we're looking at prices, and it kind of is depending on how much it costs for our insurance, for the reliability costs, the permits in these locations, and we're averaging all of that out. And Brendan and I are...
Plus vehicle rentals and all. There's
right.
lots of stuff to consider when you're doing workshops that we want.
We can't just price it as how much fun it is to do, so it's only $200 a person. We can't price it like that, but we are pricing it in a fair amount. Our first three workshops next year will have a 40% discount or 30%. I think it was 30%, right?
30%, yeah.
They'll have a discount those first 3 workshops. So if you want an inexpensive, definite opportunity for you to go, check out our first 3 workshops next year. It's Goosenecks, Goblin Valley Natural Bridges, and then the next workshop is Salt Flats and Knolls, and then the 3rd workshop is Escalante. Now, it is an amazing place, Escalante.
I'm so excited. I'm like practically giddy to go back.
I can't believe that's in May. What's the question?
Yeah.
How about one-nighters near SLC? Now, that's something that we haven't put up on our page yet, but when I said I have some clever ideas, let's just put it out there. When you guys go and get on an email list of ours and you say, I want to hear more about this, or I want to get one of your freebies. We haven't even mentioned that yet. I want to talk about that. You want to get one of our freebies and you have to sign up to email so we can send you the freebie. You're going to be seeing stuff there where you won't see anywhere else, because we honestly can't open up to very cheap, every night, overnight situations for photography because we'd be constantly busy.
True.
Flash mob, LOL. Flash mob.
Flash mob photography.
We can't put ourselves in a situation where we can't create these videos and can't go out and do our podcast, because now every night someone wants to do milk photography one-on-one or one-on-two and get our input. And so we're going to have to keep it very, very special. And the way we're going to do that is when you go there to sign up for the email to get that freebie, you're going to get told about an opportunity to get this thing and that thing. And basically you'll see videos of us talking to you saying, hey, just because you've jumped on this email list, we're going to offer you something special that we haven't offered everyone else. Some of the things will be offered on our homepage that actually is a more expensive price, but those of you who sign up for the email, it's like, hey, you're willing to talk to us through email, we're going to give you a discount if you want to get this at all. If you don't, no worries. And one of those things that we're actually going to be, let's just say, upselling for the other things is an opportunity to go out every night. And you can sign up for a list that will get notifications of when we're available for it, and we are planning on doing it. We don't have any scheduled dates. But hit us up at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, direct email, and you say, hey, I want to pay you $200 to go out with me tonight. We'll do it. We will definitely do it. And if you say, hey, I've got $70, can you go out with me to Mirror Lake tonight? And we'll probably do it, because Brendan and I, we're just happy to help. Hey, there's Ro Rebel. Just wanted to see Aaron come close up to the screen. It's funny because that's exactly what I did. What did I pull on, this cable or this cable?
This one.
Okay.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. I slapped my hands down and pulled down the cables. You guys have got me thinking about that stuff and not what I was saying. I was saying that next year we're creative. I got these creative ideas. It's outside of Photog Adventures, maybe Milky Way stuff, and maybe just entrepreneur stuff. I know that if I can get myself working from home, then now I can put a lot more time into Photog Adventures.
Yeah, we have plans to do a little bit more on the sides to bring in a little bit, funnel in some more money. But then Photog Adventures will be self-sustaining really pretty easily. You know, after our first couple workshops, I think we'll have, you know, pretty much between our Patreon, and you guys are awesome. We love you guys. You guys have gotten us to...
Can't forget Patreon.
Yeah, gotten us to pay him back for the months and months of the expenses so far.
You wouldn't believe.
We're almost even now, and that's been fantastic.
You know, I might as well hit you guys up with that since we're giving you behind-the-scenes stuff, if you don't mind, Brendan. Do you mind?
No, no.
So here's the situation. Those of you thinking about doing a podcast and a YouTube channel, you need to get out of this edit. Go away, text. Okay. And there we go, costs. You have to host a web space. Hey, I've, 1 year, I think you said 1 year. Squarespace cost of a hosting page we had a whole year of that. You also try and get things that help you show up on YouTube. So like a $4.50 a month cost for TubeBuddy. We got to have sound and music for our videos, and that costs, the cheapest option we found is Epidemic Sound. That's $15 a month that we have to pay that to have the rights to play the songs in the videos that we have on YouTube. Then the podcast hosting, that's $15 right there for SoundCloud. And then we have another thing that helps us right now on finding keywords and getting better. That's vidIQ. That's something that we're trying to grow and not be 7,000 behind Andrew Marr, who started just a month before us. Yeah. And so we're paying some money there on vidIQ. Those costs are the ones mentioned there. We also have a $10 each a Dropbox cost.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a what am I forgetting? The cost of hosting. That's everything, isn't it?
Yeah, and then there's just day-to-day costs, like the cost of gas traveling back and forth. He lives 40 minutes away. It's about 30.
Yeah, not to mention that.
40 miles or so each way, and so.
But just those numbers I've given you so far on that kind of stuff, just $16 of web space hosting and all of that, added up by December. We're talking September to December. It cost me $422. That was just September to December. And you guys partnered with Pictureline for their events. Maybe really broaden your audience. Hey, Chuck, that's an interesting idea. Pictureline, there was one person working for Pictureline that gave us some contact information, and I emailed her and haven't heard back. Well, there is an awesome company that is considering partnering with us, but they have helped us out with the lens rental for a Sigma 14 and a Canon 14, and Brendan's done an awesome video. We talked about that in the podcast that's already been recorded. It's coming out today. It is lensprotogo.com, and their partnership is zero money for us, but it allows us to get this piece of gear for free, and that was an incredible cost. I mean, it was like $250 of cost that they gave it to us for free.
Yeah. So they sent us some lenses to test out. I wanted to really badly test out that Sigma 14mm. Beautiful piece of machinery, and
machinery.
It is fantastic. So. So we talked to Paul, who's the owner of Lens Pro To Go, and he said, "Hey, let's try this out. Let's see how it goes. If things grow, if
your audience, it comes down to if the audience shows up at lensprotogo.com and uses our Adventure 10 discount code."
Yeah.
I got a period from the Astro guy. Was that just to make me sit up? So the lensprotogo.com, you go there, you rent something, you do Adventure 10 as your discount code, you get 10% discount, and you just basically prove that they heard about them through us. And if enough people prove that, they'll partnership with us, and we think it's going to be a beautiful relationship. They understand the education side and all the stuff that we want to do, and they love that side more.
And they've got tons of gear, and if I can get gear, basically for no cost for us, then I can review more stuff and do more stuff that way and share with you guys my thoughts, the technical side of things, and it can be a lot of fun. And
you put it in perspective, after 4 months, I had $422 just of the hosting cost. That didn't count the $200 mics, the $200 mic, I bought another one. We got the Tascam, we got this mic and that mic we purchased, just the $13 little arms, the tripods, the camera equipment, the GoPro, the other GoPro, the drone. I mean, we are in this about 7,000-8,000.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we are deep.
If you consider everything, yeah.
And so we have a lot of excitement for going full time and making sure that our wives aren't going to go crazy. And if we do have that full time and I'm working from home, it's going to be a huge difference. I'll be able to wake up in the morning and put out one of those videos that I keep thinking. I have a list of 45 videos, just astrophotography, that are quick hit. Here's how I do focus. Here's how I use photo pills for this. Brendan discovered, he had an awesome idea to go up to this moonrise and test this part of the app out. And we, playing with that night, we discovered exactly how to use it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we tried planning the shot the night before, and it was not the same as actually going there. So, I mean, one of the cool things about photo pills is if you go to the location and you want to find out, if I want to come back to this location, hopefully it's not too far away of the location.
Right.
Ours is pretty close. So we went there and said, okay, we're here now. We can see, we can line up the, where do we want the moon to rise? And if we give photo pills a date range, okay, sometime in the next year, when is this going to happen? Is it possible? Will the moon rise between these dip in the trees? And sure enough, yeah, next in
November,
first week in November, it'll happen. So that is pretty awesome. We figured that out and got to really experience that at Photo Pills, and now we can share that with our audience in 2 weeks when they want to learn about it.
And that app is awesome, and we just have to teach it. Accidentally typing, it's like oh yeah, it's 2 a.m. for you in Australia, of course. Sorry, man. So we figured it out, and we want to share that video. But just to create that video, put the lights in place, get the cameras on tripods, and put everything in place, and get ourselves so we're not sweating in the shot, and then get ready for record. Even though it's a 10-minute video, it costs us like 4 hours of work. Yeah. And I have done it where I've worked on it and then gone to work, but it turns out that I just don't get my 40 hours if I do that. And so next year is going to be a whole lot better, and we're excited to start now, to start bringing these things to you. You mentioned the workshops. Let me just give you a quick rundown. Goblin Valley Goosenecks and Natural Bridges is the first workshop. Salt Flats Knolls, Escalante. Then we're going to Oregon because we loved our Abandoned Crater Lake trip. You haven't even seen that Photog Adventure. They should have by now. Oh my gosh, the technical issues were so frustrating. Not to mention the $3,000 computer I just got. So the Abandoned Crater Lake. Then we go Mirror Lake, Silo, and Trestle. That's our local one, but we wanted to keep it 4 nights and 5 days. One for weather concerns, because you don't know how bad the clouds will be, and we want to have at least 2 good nights. Yeah. And then we have Goblin Valley Gooseneck Natural Bridges again in August. We're hoping, and this is up in the air, that we can get a Zion trip in September. We might not be allowed to do Milky Way photography there. And if that's the case, we'll just do landscape photography, but it might not be a workshop. It might just be a listener adventure, just because we have more credibility as a Milky Way photographer duo than we do landscape photography out in Zion. And so we have more experience there. And so we'll just wait and see.
Although in Zion, it's really hard to find something that's not photogenic. The place is just amazing. So.
Yeah, you don't even need us.
Yeah.
We'll just help you have fun and give you a photog adventure. Then the last workshop of the year is a silo, trestle, and delta. We're going down to Delta Sand Dunes. And so we are having these 8 tentatively, well, these 8 for sure, but then we have tentative ones in Bryce Canyon, local areas, go out to Salt Flats maybe again, going to other places that we haven't even put on this list, like Strawberry Pinnacles, going out to Bryan Head, going over to the Valley of Fire. We can't do Milky Way photography in Valley of Fire, but there are tons of awesome locations that we can take you out on a photog adventure. So our plans in 2018, we're going to get our income from all of our hard work doing this and sharing content with you guys. And our commitment to you is that we will be consistent in delivering where we haven't right now. Brendan brought up our Patreon. People who are on our Patreon, and oh, that was a fast one. That was gone immediately, and it was like 4 sentences. Copy and paste that again. Let me see that message over on YouTube. The Patreon group, they're going to get most of these things that we create and small freebies completely without any effort at all and for free. Because once you're in our Patreon group, we consider you our founders and our bosses, and we love helping you and giving you anything for being a part of our Patreon. If you haven't thought about going there yet, patreon.com/Photog Adventures. There's $2, there's $2, $5, $10, and $15. And crazy enough, we have some patrons saying, why don't you have a $25 option? I mean, it just blows our mind that you guys are that generous.
More? Wow, we
never considered 15 would work.
But we want to definitely start giving back. So anybody at the $5 and up level, we're going to start providing tutorials for and some more technical stuff, processing videos, stuff like that. So we're really going to start pushing that as a means to monetize some more of our time to free up more time for us. And so you guys can literally buy our time back for us.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
And you guys have imagine this situation. You're watching our Escalante Part 2 video, and Brendan has this awesome shot of the tree at Dance Hall Rock. And you're like, how did he process this? I wonder what he did. Well, Brendan's creating a processing video for that, but it's only going to be available on our Patreon or for like, I think it would be $10 a purchase. So it'll be like a cheap $10 buy now, or if you're paying, was it $2 or $5?
I think $5
for the $10 ones. I guess $5 a month is right, because every video will have another one. One from Brendan, one from me. Crater Lake, you'll have 2 from me, or 2 from us, and Crater Lake, another part 2, will have 2 from us. So by the end of this year even, we'll have 10 to 12 different processing videos. And if you pay just $5 that month, you have access to see all of them, or you can buy them individually at $10 a pop. And so we're trying to monetize that way. And so our Patreon, you guys on Patreon can see this content and get that quickly, as well as just have it automatically because you're $5 and up.
Right.
And with a $5 and up option, you have the other rewards as well. And so we are hoping to make it highly worth it for you to jump on our Patreon. And if you see a video in 3 months down the road and you're like, oh dude, he did the processing video on that picture and I do want to see that, then you just go to Patreon, pay the $5 and watch it, and then maybe next month you don't want to do it again, that's fine.
And always contact us through our social media or through Patreon or through YouTube and Facebook, whatever. Send us a comment about you want to see a video on this. Like, hey, I saw this picture you guys did, way back in 2017, the beginning. Can you guys do a processing video? Request it, and sure, we can put it together for you. So.
Yeah, and we're going to help you guys out there. If you say you want that, we'll make sure we create that, and all the Patreon people will get it, and those of you who want to just buy it, can just buy it directly and not be obligated to every month pay $5.
And we want to do more than just a video, too. We want to actually give you guys the raw file, and so you can follow along with us, which is going to be really huge.
Literally giving up those images entirely along with the processing video every time.
Yeah, so being a part of that subscriber or buying that video and that file from our website will be awesome, because it'll give you guys something, because I can follow someone along on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I don't have their original image. I can just watch and then try to use those techniques on my own image, but it's going to be so much more valuable for you guys to have our raw file, do the same things we did, and then apply those same techniques, and then you can grow and learn from that, I think, better than you could normally.
So let's get this podcast coming to an end, and I want to talk about podcast show notes and freebies. we are going to give back more, and the only way we can give back is if we can send it to you, and so you will have to give us an email. So if you hate the idea of giving us your email, create a new one. Go to Gmail and create a new one that says stupidphotogadventureemail@gmail.com, and then give us that, and then we'll give you the freebie. I mean, this isn't something that we can do any other way. We have to send it to you as an attachment. So just as an idea of a couple of our freebies, and then we'll announce the big freebie that we're going to be giving out here soon. For the 50 people, remember that?
Yeah, do you want to announce that today?
Yeah, let's do it. It's not available to actually go sign up for, but let's announce it. Let's start talking about it.
We have plans to do this.
We have, well, and we're talking like this weekend we can get it signed up for.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Other stuff?
We'll see.
We're doing behind the scenes in front of the scenes. Sorry, guys. So here's our freebies and our show notes. In the past, if you listen to our podcast, you've had to say, we'll put this in the show notes, and then you try and find the show notes. And you don't realize that the description on SoundCloud and the description in your iPhone or your podcatcher is the show notes. They're right there. Oh. All of them are in there, pasted with links and everything. But people are trying to look for the show notes on our website. And so I am making sure that in every podcast, I'll say, for the show notes for this podcast, go to photogadventures.com/44 or 45 or 46. It's just the episode number, and you go right there. And in those show notes, you're going to be offered a freebie in some cases. It won't be every podcast, but sometimes we'll have a cool freebie. For example, I have an idea for a very quick cheat sheet. That's a PDF that you can have on your phone with you of the histograms for having a good proper exposure. Oh. We've talked about the exposures on one of my live webinars, and you guys have probably remembered most of the tips and the feedback that I gave you, but not all of it. And why not I give you a PDF with a cheat sheet where you can just pull up in your phone, like, okay, here's like the 7 different histograms that I could want, and here's why they look like this in light pollution, here's why it looks like this here. Okay, cool. And that'll give you some confidence. Okay, that's how I got a properly exposed Milky Way here. And we'll also have a cheat sheet for focus, a cheat sheet for composition, a cheat sheet for how to use this camera for time-lapse, a cheat sheet for creating a time-lapse and producing it, a cheat sheet for all sorts of little quick PDFs that we can create. Like we talk about podcasts, for instance. Let's think back at Bryce Canyon. We went to Bryce Canyon. We talked about it on the podcast. We said we're doing star trails. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? How I messed up the intervalometer. All of that stuff can be a quick little PDF freebie that says, here's where we went in Bryce Canyon. Here's how we got down there. And it's a quick guide of how to repeat that adventure. And you won't get it unless you want us to send you a PDF, and you'll have to give us an email, and you'll get that. And these freebies will have an email, you get it, and you sign in, we say thank you. And just like I mentioned earlier, you're going to get a video of us talking about, hey, thanks for getting this freebie. Here's a couple other things because you signed up here that we want to offer you. And it is something that Brendan and I, we aren't salesmen, we're creators, and we're just trying to also make money. And so instead of selling like, here's your last chance, buy now. We're gonna be talking to you and saying, okay, look, because you're interested in this freebie, you're much more interested in Milky Way photography, and so instead of you buying this production of how to process this Milky Way image for $10 that's on our website, we'll give it to you right now for $4.95. And we'll say that. And then you buy that. And then you see something else that says, we're also doing a workshop here, and it's going to cost $700. Are you interested? Those kind of things are going to happen. We're going to try our best to not feel awkward being salesmen, but we do have to try and see if you guys want any of this stuff, and we'll contact you that way.
And always give us feedback, too. Please.
Oh, yeah.
Give us feedback as often as you can, saying, hey, I'd like it better if you guys did this as a product instead. Yeah. And we could change that.
Absolutely.
Totally flexible. So.
Absolutely. So our freebies and our show notes will always be photogadventures.com/the-number. And episode 50, episode 51, that will just never have to change. And so if you're wondering where the show notes are, type in photogadventures.com/episode 50. This right now is episode 49, and the page doesn't exist right now for episode 49. But in the future, on all my podcasts that I release, I will make sure that they exist before I click submit. And so you can jump in and find the notes instantly. And if we have a freebie for that episode, you'll see it right there, and you can sign right up and get it.
Awesome.
The last freebie. Here's the thing that Brendan and I have this idea of trying to get more of those subscribers on YouTube. You guys are awesome. I bet every single one of you have subscribed to it, which is why you knew that we went live and all of this. There are 2,600 people who are subscribers, and we get about 700 views in the first week of certain videos, and sometimes only 200, 300. So are 1,500 of you fake? I mean, would you guys ever go to your YouTube again? And so we don't know how many of you on YouTube are real, and 75% of our views are not subscribed. So it looks at all the people who've watched our stuff, and they say 75% are not subscribed and 25% are. And so we have thousands of people who just have never bothered to subscribe, and we want
so
to
they funnel in, but then they don't subscribe, and then we keep getting new groups coming in. We don't know how it works. The internet is a crazy place.
We don't know where you are, and we don't know how to tell you that we're doing a workshop. And so what we're trying to do, what we're going to try and do is build that community better and offer things to help you subscribe and get information. And so what we're doing for this first freebie to help encourage subscribers is that we're offering 50 people, Facebook too, I mean anybody, 50 people, we're going to give you a portfolio review. Brendan and I go to our podcast, we record. You can only send us 10 images because it's going to be a bear for us to go fast. Because Brendan and I, we're long-winded.
Oh, yeah.
We will talk about your images for 17 hours. And we're going to do 50 people at 1 hour a piece. That's 50 hours. Okay, we can probably get it all done, but we can't do it if you send more than 10 images. So I'm going to have a sign up here in this next few days where you'll post it. Maybe on the 50th episode when we're joined with all our guys. Any of you are admins on our Facebook channel, this is your hat, by the way. Rob Ryan, I don't know if you're available there right now, but this is your hat. We purchased some hats for our admins to say thanks, and this is going to have a Photog Adventures logo.
So I got to take it to the place that did this and bring the file back to them.
They canceled my order for the hats that I wanted, but they have Brent's and 3 other gray hats. And then we need yours and Josh's, by the way. You might as well tell me what you want. So we have hats for these guys, and our admins, I brought this up because...
we're going to join together for the 50th.
That's why. Thank you. Sometimes I go, pew, pew, pew.
Sometimes I remember.
And so the 50th episode, we're going live. What's that? So how do I become an admin? Hey, Jordan.
Is that Jordan?
It's Jordan Yance. Jordan Yance just said, how do you become an admin?
Probably Jordan, yeah.
I suppose when we show up in North Carolina, there might be a chance you get a hat.
Since we're staying at your place, I guess. Of
course we'll bring you one.
What? Hack that in.
Dude, do you want gray? Text me what color you want, and I'll make sure I get it as long as they don't cancel it like my navy blue. I kind of like this color, but... I feel like that's old man color.
It's kind of an old man color.
So anyway, other than insulting our friends. Yes, he says yes. Okay. So, 50th episode, I'll tell you guys the actual link where you can sign up. Since it's episode 50 and we're let 50 get free portfolio, that's perfect. So if you are one of the first 50 that sign up and want a free portfolio, then all you have to do is sign up and give us a link to your portfolio, and then we'll record ourselves giving you a review. And here's some peer review. You hear some of the harsh critique that Aaron King can offer you, and then he'll hear some of the awesome, excited critique from us. And so you're going to be getting some very honest feedback from us, and we look forward to doing it. And when you go through that process, we'll also give you some other interesting things that we're working on, and maybe you'll be interested in that stuff, or maybe you just want the free portfolio review. But we're going to try these kind of things to help us out. Hey, Nevada, I want to review your portfolio. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Come on, man. Actually, you can. I mean, anytime you want.
Yeah.
Our portfolio is pretty open. It's just I haven't even finished my images that I've taken all year.
I still need to go through and actually do like my top 10, and it changes like every month because we're taking so many pictures every month. And it's like, oh, that one's stellar. Do I need to put that in my top 10 now?
We should do that, though. We could put up our portfolio of our top 10 at the end of the year and put it out there for everyone to give feedback to us, and then do a video receiving that feedback and having us read it for the first time and react to the, aw, man, they didn't like that part, or they loved this part.
Yeah, okay.
We could do that'd be a lot of fun.
Should we put the portfolio on our website?
Yeah, our portfolio, our top 10, December.
Okay, so my plan for portfolio work is to not only show you guys on the website, but then offer it for prints for sale as well. So I'm looking at several. So I'm looking at several printers now, whether it be Bay Photo or Redbubble or someone like that actually can do metal prints, canvas, and some other options you guys want. So we want to make those available for sale too. So
we want to be like Jeff Peterson and get tons of money for our prints.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So get on there. Episode 50 will not be live, guys. We're recording it on Saturday and we'll post it on Monday, but it'll be a video. Well, no, it won't be a video because they won't be in studio. It'll be an audio podcast only. Join us there. Thank you guys for joining us here today and celebrating the 1 year of Photog Adventures. We're very excited to have been a part of all of this and have guys on here like Ro Rebel who joined me on the live webinars, and now I go back to him like he's an old buddy of mine. Like I've known him for years.
Sweet.
And he messes with me and makes me do my face up in the front. So you guys have been a lot of fun to hang out with. The admins, thank you. And I mean, last announcement, we just got accepted by Amazon merch, and so we can create designs up to 10 and they will put it on shirts for us.
Oh.
And then Amazon, you go through Amazon, you buy the shirt, get your size, and then get a cool Photog Adventure design.
Hey, cool.
So we're going to be doing some of that, and then you guys can get that. If you guys want a hat, we'll eventually be selling our hats. I mean, why not? Just, why not?
All right.
So thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Thank you guys for being on here live on YouTube. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. And now we're going to do that awkward lean forward and hit the finish button. So see you guys. Good luck for 2018.
See you guys.
See ya. And